The Keeper of Keys. The rain on the day Leo arrived at the Sterling estate was not a gentle drizzle, but a relentless silver-gray downpour that turned the long, manicured driveway into a river. From the worn seat of his pickup truck, the mansion emerged like a limestone ghost, all turrets and too many windows to count. Leo Santos, his hands calloused from a lifetime of coaxing life from the stubborn soil of his own, now lost, farm, felt a familiar knot in his stomach. Not awe, but a deep, weary uncertainty. He'd been a king of 40 acres. Now he was reporting for duty as a live-in groundskeeper and, inexplicably, a supervisory presence for the owner's children. Inside, the air was silent and smelled of lemon polish and emptiness. The millionaire, Mr. Sterling, was a blur of bespoke suit and distracted intensity. "Manuel, is it?" he began, not looking up from his phone. "Leo, sir." "Right. The farm failed. I'm sorry. My wife passed last year. I travel. The children need consistency. Marta, the housekeeper, cooks and cleans. You keep the grounds from looking like a wilderness and make sure the children are accounted for." He finally glanced at Leo, his eyes scanning the older man's flannel shirt and boots. "You have a kind face. The agency said you're reliable. Just be here." And with that, he was gone, the echo of a closing car door his farewell. The children were two silent portraits in the vast living room. Eli, 14, was a storm cloud in a hoodie, his eyes fixed on a flashing screen, his headphones a deliberate barrier. Maya, 8, sat perfectly still on a sofa large enough to seat 10, a porcelain doll with enormous watchful eyes. She clutched a threadbare giraffe that looked profoundly out of place. The first week was a study in echoes. Leo mowed acres of lawn, pruned roses he had no affection for, and swept patios that felt like stages. He'd nod to the children in the hallways. Eli would grunt, Maya would shrink away. Meals, prepared by the stern but not unkind Marta, were exercises in quiet. They ate in the cavernous dining room under a chandelier that dripped cold light, the clink of silverware on china the only conversation. The change began, as fundamental things often do, with a smell. One afternoon, after a long day repairing a fountain that had never held water, in Leo's opinion, he walked past the sterile stainless steel kitchen. Marta was out. A pang, sharp and physical, hit him. A memory of his own kitchen, warm and cluttered, the air rich with garlic and pimenton. On impulse, he opened the pantry. It was a museum of imported delicacies and gourmet ingredients, all sealed, all perfect, and all utterly lifeless. He found a bag of simple lentils, an onion, a few cloves of garlic. He rummaged in the fridge for carrots and celery. It wasn't his mother's recipe, not exactly. He didn't have her smoked paprika, but it was a start. He chopped slowly, the rhythmic thunk, 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 a soothing mantra against the silence. He sautéed the onion until it wept translucent gold, added the garlic until its fragrance filled the void. The simmering pot began to whisper promises of earth and warmth. He didn't call the children. He just set 3 bowls on the scrubbed pine table in the breakfast nook, a smaller, sunlit space the chandelier didn't command. He waited. Maya appeared first, drawn like a moth by the scent. She stood in the doorway, her giraffe tucked under her arm. "It smells different," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's just soup," Leo said, not turning from the stove. "My back is tired. Too fancy to eat in the dining room tonight." Eli slouched in, sniffed dismissively, but sat. They ate in silence, but it was a different silence, broken by the warm slurp of soup, the soft clink of spoon against ceramic bowl. Maya ate every last bit. Eli, after a skeptical first taste, finished his and didn't ask for the tablet once. The next day, Leo found a single dandelion yellow weed blooming defiantly in a crack of the immaculate patio. Instead of pulling it, he pointed it out to Maya. "Look," he said, "the toughest ones always find a way through." She crouched down, touching its fuzzy stem. "Is it a flower or a weed?" "Depends on your perspective," Leo said. To the lawn, it's a troublemaker. To a bee, it's a banquet. A small, almost invisible smile touched her lips. That weekend, Leo was raking leaves into enormous piles. He saw Eli watching from an upstairs window. On a whim, he heaved a great pile into the air, letting the crimson and gold cascade down around him. He did it again, childishly, joyfully. The window disappeared. A moment later, Eli was outside, hands in pockets. "Seems inefficient," Eli muttered. "Probably," agreed Leo, handing him a rake, "but satisfying." Soon, it wasn't just soup. It was Leo teaching Maya how to deadhead roses, her small fingers careful beside his gnarled ones. "See, you cut here, just above where the new life wants to grow." It was Eli, reluctantly at first, then with intense focus, helping Leo rebuild a section of the garden wall that had crumbled. "The stone needs to find its own balance," Leo instructed, his hand guiding Eli's. "You don't force it, you help it sit right." The mansion began to breathe. A pot of Leo's basil appeared on the sunniest kitchen windowsill. Maya's drawings of the dandelion, of Leo's old dog, whose photo he'd shown her, of a smiling woman who looked like her mother, were taped to the stainless steel fridge. Eli started asking questions about Leo's farm, about irrigation, about soil pH, questions that were about more than agriculture. One evening, Mr. Sterling returned unexpectedly from a 2-week trip. He walked into the breakfast nook to find a scene utterly foreign to his home. Leo was flipping a tortilla española in a pan, a skill born of 1,000 such flips. Maya was setting the table with mismatched, colorful plates they'd found in a cupboard. Eli was arguing good-naturedly with Leo about whether the potatoes were caramelized enough. The air was thick with the smell of eggs, potato, and olive oil. Sterling stood frozen in the doorway. The children fell silent. Leo met his employer's gaze, spatula in hand. "I hope you're hungry, sir. There's plenty." Sterling's eyes traveled from his daughter's flour-dusted cheek to his son's relaxed posture, to the vibrant drawings on the fridge, to the humble, glorious food in the pan. He saw not a mansion being maintained, but a home being built. Something in his carefully composed face fractured, just for a second. "It smells incredible," he managed, and slowly took off his coat. That night, the dining room remained dark. They ate at the nook, and Sterling listened as Maya chattered about the baby birds in the ivy, and Eli explained, with newfound authority, the structural integrity of the garden wall. But one day, a few months later, the polished black car arrived, and Mr. Sterling's face was ashen. He called Leo into his study. "The Singapore deal, it's collapsed. Worse than collapsed. There were irregularities, legal issues. I may lose a great deal." He looked out at the perfect, meaningless lawn. "I may have to let the staff go, sell this place. I don't know how to tell them." Leo absorbed this. The storm clouds of the adult world, which he knew so well, had finally broken over this shiny fortress. He thought not of his job, but of Maya's worry, of Eli's hard-won trust. "The children should hear it from you," Leo said quietly. "Together. And then we should all have breakfast." Sterling told them that evening, his voice raw. Maya cried silent tears into her giraffe. Eli's face shut down, the storm cloud returning. The air was thick with the scent of impending loss. The next morning, Leo was up before dawn. He didn't make lentil soup or tortilla, he made migas. He tore stale bread into pieces, chopped the last of the chorizo from the fridge, and fried it all in good olive oil with garlic and kale from the garden he'd planted. It was a peasant dish, born of scarcity, a recipe for making something magnificent from almost nothing. He called them to the kitchen. They came, drawn by the sizzle and the bold, pungent smell. Sterling looked exhausted, the children adrift. Leo served the migas onto plates. "My father," he said as they sat, "used to say this was the food of resilience. When the cupboards were bare, you looked at what was left and you made it sing." He took a bite, the crispy bread and rich paprika a symphony of survival on his tongue. Maya tentatively tried hers. Eli did the same. "It's really good," Eli said, surprise cutting through his gloom. "It is," Sterling agreed, a flicker of something, maybe memory or hope, in his eyes. Leo looked at them, this fractured family he'd been hired to mind. "The thing about migas," he said, his voice rough with emotion, "is you don't need a mansion to make it. You just need a pan, a little heat, and the will to use what you've got." Maya reached out and put her small hand over his weathered one. Eli, after a moment, nodded slowly, his eyes on his plate, thinking. Sterling watched the exchange, and the final layer of the distant millionaire seemed to melt away, revealing just a man, a father, at a loss. He cleared his throat. "Leo, whatever happens with the house, the lawyers, would you consider—" He couldn't finish. Leo finished for him. "Wherever you all land, someone's going to need to figure out the soil and teach this one," he nodded at Maya, "how to spot the first crocus, and this one," he glanced at Eli, "how to build a wall that lasts." The estate did eventually sell. The liminal period that followed was one of cardboard boxes and whispered worries. But through it, Leo was there, packing not just china, but memories into boxes. He helped them move not to another palace, but to a large, comfortable, slightly rambling house with a wild, untamed garden. On their first night there, the rooms were a maze of boxes, the kitchen unfamiliar, but Leo found the pan. He found oil, bread, garlic, and called them to the smaller, sun-filled kitchen of this new, real home. And as the migas sizzled, filling the space with its undeniable, sturdy aroma, they gathered around, not out of duty, but out of hunger for food and for the connection that now felt as essential as breath. They were not a millionaire and his hired help. They were a man who had lost his way, 2 children who had lost their anchor, and a farmer who had lost his land, who had somehow, in the humble, daily acts of care, built something new from the pieces left behind, a family stitched together not by blood, but by shared soup, repaired walls, and the quiet understanding that the most profound growth often starts in the cracks, with the stubborn, hopeful weeds.